All right. So, for this deep dive, we've got like this really interesting combo, right? Like personal notes and what looks like a self-help book, all about like conquering shyness.
Hmm.
Yeah, and one note in particular really jumped out at me. It mentions, watching someone in your dorm who like, quote, has experience, close quote.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of curious, like, what kind of experience were you hoping to like find there? And how did you think like watching them would actually help you?
Well, it sounds like you're really looking for like a real life example of how to navigate those, like tricky social situations.
Right.
Like you were trying to find someone who just like had it all figured out.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's totally natural, right? To look for those role models, those people who embody like those qualities that we admire.
Totally. It's like almost like trying to learn a new dance, by watching someone who's already like mastered all the steps.
Exactly. And the book actually talks about this. They call it social modeling. But it also like cautions against,
Yeah.
like choosing unrealistic models, right?
Yeah.
Celebrities or geniuses.
Right.
Because let's face it, like most of us aren't going to become like the next Einstein or Beyonce, right?
Yeah, true. I mean, I admire Beyonce's confidence and everything, but I'm not about to start rocking a leotard on stage anytime soon.
Right. The key is like finding those relatable models, those people who've overcome similar challenges and just achieved like a level of social ease that, feels attainable.
So maybe like instead of fixating on that like seemingly confident guy in your dorm,
Yeah.
you could think about someone who maybe used to be shy,
Yeah.
but has like made progress in their social life.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Right.
Someone who's actually walked a similar path, they can offer like way more relevant insights and strategies.
Right.
They've actually been in your shoes, so they understand those struggles firsthand.
Totally. Now, another theme that like kind of pops up in your notes is this whole like feeling of not being, quote, interesting, close quote, enough in
Right.
social situations. Yeah.
You even mentioned wanting to be like more interesting,
Mm.
which kind of makes me wonder, do you think like being interesting is like the key to feeling more comfortable and accepted?
That's such a good question.
Yeah.
And it really touches on this core issue that the book keeps emphasizing, the link between shyness and self-esteem.
Okay.
Oftentimes shyness isn't just about feeling awkward or quiet. It's about this like deeper feeling of inadequacy. Like you just don't have anything worthwhile to contribute.
So it's not just about like having interesting things to say.
Right.
It's more about believing that like you are interesting and that your thoughts and experiences actually have value.
Exactly. The book argues that low self-esteem fuels shyness because you're constantly fearing that negative judgment, right?
Right.
So you hold back because you're worried about being judged or like rejected.
And like that fear can almost become a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Totally.
If you don't believe in yourself, you're less likely to put yourself out there.
And that can lead to like all these missed opportunities for connection and growth.
It becomes this like vicious cycle, right?
Right.
Low self-esteem leads to avoidance,
Right.
which leads to fewer positive social experiences,
Right.
which further reinforces that low self-esteem.
Okay, so to break free from that cycle, the book offers this like 15-step plan for building confidence.
Right.
It's pretty extensive.
It is.
But I think there are a few steps that could be like especially helpful for you based on what we're seeing in these notes.
Absolutely. The steps about like recognizing your strengths and then understanding your past influences seems super relevant.
Let's start with recognizing strengths then,
Okay.
because it's so easy to get caught up in, what we see as our weaknesses.
Yeah.
But it's just as important to acknowledge those strengths, the things we excel at and the things we enjoy.
Totally. And focusing on your strengths can really boost your self-esteem, right? And it gives you this sense of competence that can really carry over into those social situations.
It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
Like if you're constantly just focused on your like perceived flaws, you're going to have way less energy and confidence to like actually engage with others authentically.
Exactly. By like acknowledging and appreciating those strengths. You're filling your cup, right?
Right.
And giving yourself those resources to connect with others from a place of strength and authenticity.
And then the step about understanding past influences is really crucial too.
Oh.
It's about recognizing how our early experiences, especially with like family and friends,
Yeah.
and even like cultural norms have shaped our self-perceptions.
And sometimes we totally internalize messages about ourselves that might not even be accurate or helpful. For example, like if you were always told as a kid, that you were too quiet or you should speak up more.
Right.
You might carry that belief into adulthood, even if it no longer serves you.
Right, it's like an old computer program just running in the
Yeah.
background, influencing our thoughts and behaviors even when we're not aware of it.
Exactly. So this step encourages you to examine those old programs,
Okay.
to really question their validity and, like, update them if they're not serving you anymore.
So it's not about like blaming your parents
Right.
or past experiences,
Right.
but more about understanding how they've shaped your self-image
Yeah.
and then making conscious choices to like rewrite the narrative.
It's about reclaiming your story and choosing beliefs that really empower you to show up as your most, like, authentic and confident self.
Now, the book uses some like really powerful examples to illustrate how low self-esteem can manifest in shyness.
Hmm.
There's this story about Gabe, a brilliant PhD student who almost skipped his final exam
Oh, wow.
because he was like convinced he was going to fail.
Oh, no.
And his story highlights just how crippling self-doubt can be,
Yeah.
even for someone who's like objectively accomplished.
Right.
It really demonstrates that shyness isn't always about like a lack of social skills.
Right.
It can be rooted in this like deep-seated belief in one's own inadequacy.
Absolutely.
And then there's Sharon, who hid her face behind her hair because she was convinced she wasn't attractive.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It really shows how low self-esteem can lead to those self-sabotaging behaviors,
Right.
which prevent people from fully expressing themselves and connecting with others.
These stories really drive home the point that shyness is often like a symptom of a deeper issue, a
Yeah,
lack of self-worth.
absolutely.
And the book, it challenges readers to shift their perspective, to see shyness not as like a character flaw, but as a characteristic that can be managed, even leveraged.
I love that.
Right? It's about reframing shyness as a starting point, not a life sentence.
Exactly.
It's about recognizing that you actually have the power to change your story, to build your confidence.
Yes.
And to create like a much more fulfilling social life.
Absolutely. And the book offers that roadmap for that journey.
Right.
That set of tools and techniques for cultivating self-esteem and developing those essential social skills.
Which brings us to like the practical side of things.
Right.
The books section on social skills training.
Yeah.
I'm so eager to like dive into this.
You too.
Because it seems like you're looking for some concrete strategies to improve your interactions.
Totally.
So what are some key takeaways from this like approach that might resonate with you?
What I find super intriguing about social skills training is that it breaks down these like seemingly complex interactions into these learnable skills. Think of it like learning to play a musical instrument.
Okay.
You wouldn't just expect to be like a virtuoso overnight, right?
Right.
It takes practice.
Right. No one expects to just pick up a guitar and suddenly shred like Jimi Hendrix on day one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And social skills, they're really similar.
Okay.
The book encourages you to approach them with that same mindset. Patience, practice,
Right.
and a willingness to learn from mistakes.
So instead of dwelling on the why of your shyness, you're focusing more on the how of becoming more socially adept.
Precisely.
Okay.
And, the book provides like this whole toolbox of techniques for navigating all sorts of social situations.
Got it.
Everything from making eye contact and using open body language
Mm-hmm.
to starting and maintaining those conversations.
Speaking of starting conversations, I know that's something you've mentioned wanting to get better at.
Yeah.
Are there any like specific techniques from the book that address this?
The book really emphasizes the power of exposure and like gradual desensitization.
Oh, okay.
So it encourages you to start with these like small, manageable interactions,
Mm-hmm.
and then you gradually work your way up to those more challenging situations.
So it's about like dipping your toes in the social pool
Yeah,
instead of diving headfirst into the deep end.
exactly. You wouldn't start training for a marathon by running 26 miles on day one.
Right.
You'd gradually increase your mileage over time.
So what might these like baby steps look like in a more social context?
Well, it could be as simple as like making eye contact and smiling at someone you pass on the street, or complimenting a stranger on their outfit.
Those seem pretty approachable. They're like low-stakes interactions that can really help build confidence without being too overwhelming.
Exactly. And as you gain confidence in those smaller interactions, you can start to like gradually challenge yourself with those more complex ones.
Okay.
Like, striking up a conversation with someone new at a social gathering.
It's about building that like social muscle memory through consistent practice.
Exactly.
Now, the book also talks about the importance of assertiveness.
Right.
And I want to be clear, it's not about becoming aggressive.
Right.
It's about communicating your needs and boundaries clearly and respectfully.
I think for a lot of people, shyness can lead to, like, not speaking up for themselves
Right.
or letting others kind of walk all over them.
Yeah, so assertiveness is about finding that balance
Mm.
between being respectful of others
Right.
and honoring your own needs and values.
Absolutely. So if someone asks you to do something that you're not comfortable with, being assertive means being able to say no
Yeah.
without feeling guilty or obligated.
It's about advocating for yourself while maintaining those healthy relationships.
And that skill, it's not just limited to social situations either, right?
Totally.
It can apply to, like, all areas of life,
Hmm.
work, relationships, even everyday interactions.
For sure. Learning to be assertive can really empower you to navigate like any situation with greater confidence and self-respect.
It's about having a voice
Yeah.
and using it effectively.
Now, another point that the book touches on is the role of physical appearance and grooming.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I can see how taking care of your appearance could boost confidence,
Yeah.
but I also worry about it becoming, like, too superficial.
It's a valid concern, and the book isn't advocating for conforming to like those unrealistic beauty standards.
All right.
It's more about presenting yourself in a way that makes you feel good
Right.
and reflects your authentic self.
Yeah.
So it's not about trying to fit into a mold or anything. It's
Right.
more about expressing your personal style and feeling comfortable in your own skin.
Exactly. And when you feel good about how you look,
Mm-hmm.
it can really have a positive impact on your confidence and just how you carry yourself in those social situations.
It's like that boost you get when you put on an outfit that makes you feel amazing.
Yes.
You walk a little taller, you smile a little brighter,
Yeah.
you project this aura of confidence.
And the book even offers tips for handling those, like, awkward moments
Right.
that inevitably arise in social interactions, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like forgetting someone's name
Yeah.
or spilling a drink on yourself.
Oh, yeah.
I bet we've all been there.
Oh, totally. Those moments can be so cringeworthy, especially when you're already feeling self-conscious.
Yeah.
So what's the book's advice for, like, navigating those situations?
It emphasizes the importance of not taking yourself too seriously.
Mm.
Learning to laugh at yourself can really diffuse that awkwardness.
Yeah.
And make you more relatable to others.
It's like giving yourself permission to be human.
Exactly.
We all make mistakes. We all have those embarrassing moments. And it's really just about how we handle them that matters.
And sometimes the best way to handle them is to just embrace the awkwardness, acknowledge the blunder, and move on.
It's about letting go of that need to be perfect
Yeah.
and allowing yourself to be authentic, even if it means being a little goofy or clumsy sometimes.
Speaking of goofiness, the book also highlights the importance of developing a sense of humor.
Okay.
Laughter is such a powerful connector,
Yes.
and it can really lighten the mood in those social situations.
I totally agree. Being able to laugh at yourself
Hmm.
and find humor in those everyday situations can make you so much more approachable and fun to be around.
The book really encourages you to cultivate your own sense of humor
Right.
and use it to create a more relaxed and enjoyable social experience.
Now, we've talked a lot about like behavioral aspects of social skills training,
Right.
but I'm wondering if the book addresses that like underlying anxiety
Yeah.
that often accompanies shyness.
Mm.
I imagine that can be a major hurdle for some people.
It can be, but it does address it.
Okay.
The book acknowledges that anxiety is a very common component of shyness.
Hmm.
It offers several techniques for, like, managing it.
Okay.
One approach it emphasizes is using those relaxation techniques,
Okay.
like deep breathing and progressive muscle relaxation.
Those are great tools for calming the nervous system in general, not just in social situations,
Totally.
but like anytime you're feeling stressed or anxious.
Exactly.
The book also talks about the power of positive self-talk,
Yes.
like challenging those negative thoughts
Right.
and replacing them with more like positive and realistic ones.
It's about becoming aware of those inner dialogues that can really sabotage our confidence
Right.
and lead to self-doubt.
So it's not just about changing those external behaviors.
Right.
It's about changing our like internal landscape as well.
It's about cultivating that mindset that supports confidence and connection.
I'm so struck by how comprehensive this book's approach is.
Me too.
It addresses both those internal and external factors that contribute to shyness,
Yeah.
offering this like holistic path toward transformation.
And it's not just like a theoretical framework.
Right.
It provides those actionable steps and techniques that you can start implementing in your own life.
It's like a personalized roadmap guiding you toward a more confident and fulfilling social experience.
And what's even more inspiring is that the book doesn't end with, like, individual transformation. It
Hmm.
goes a step further and suggests that as you gain confidence,
Yeah.
you can then use your own experiences to help others overcome their own shyness.
That's a beautiful idea.
Yeah.
It suggests this ripple effect of empowerment where one person's journey can inspire and support countless others.
That's about recognizing that we're all interconnected,
Great.
and that by sharing our stories and knowledge, we can create like a more compassionate and understanding world.
Totally. It's amazing to think that like overcoming shyness isn't just about like personal growth. It can
Mm-mm.
also be about like paying it forward
Yeah.
and helping others find their voice.
I love that.
The book actually uses the term, quote, shyness change agents, close quote, which sounds pretty awesome if you ask me.
I love that
What
term.
do you think about it?
It highlights like the potential we all have to really make a positive impact on others,
Right.
even in small ways, right?
Right.
It's a reminder that we don't need like a degree in psychology to offer support and encouragement
Right.
to those who are struggling with shyness.
It's like that ripple effect we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
A single act of kindness can have these like far-reaching consequences, right?
Right.
Inspiring others to pay it forward
Mm.
and create this chain reaction of positivity.
The book actually shares a really great anecdote about Bobby Kennedy encouraging this shy football player named Rosie
Okay.
to like speak up and share his feelings.
Yes.
And it wasn't like a formal therapy session or anything.
No.
It was just a genuine moment of human connection
Yeah.
that had this profound impact on Rosie.
It shows that sometimes, like, the most powerful interventions are actually the simplest ones.
Right.
A listening ear,
Yeah.
a word of encouragement, a moment of, like, shared vulnerability.
Right.
These can make all the difference.
It's about creating a space where people feel safe to be themselves,
Yeah.
without judgment or pressure to conform.
And bringing this back to your notes, it makes me wonder if there's, like, a hint of that future possibility in your own journey. You've clearly been, like, reflecting on your own experiences with shyness,
Yeah.
but you also included those excerpts about helping others. So do you think there's a part of you that envisions using your own experiences to support others who are going through similar challenges?
It's definitely something to consider as you gain more confidence and develop those social skills. You might actually find a sense of purpose and fulfillment
Yeah.
in like mentoring others or sharing your story in a way that inspires them.
It's like turning your challenge into a superpower.
Right.
Using your experience to empower others and create a more, like, compassionate and understanding world.
Exactly. And it brings us back to the heart of what this deep dive has really been all about.
Mm-hmm.
Exploring the complexities of shyness and uncovering that path toward greater confidence and connection.
We started with your personal notes.
Yeah.
Those raw and honest glimpses into your experiences and aspirations.
Right.
We saw that yearning for connection, that desire to feel more comfortable and confident in social situations, and maybe even a hint of that future where you might use your journey to help others find their voice.
And then we dove into the book,
Right.
which offers this framework for understanding shyness, building self-esteem,
Right.
and developing those social skills needed to navigate the world with much greater ease.
The book really emphasizes the importance of self-awareness,
Yeah.
honest self-evaluation, and consistent effort.
It reminds us that personal growth is a process,
Right.
not a destination.
And it challenges us to really shift our perspective on shyness, seeing it not as like a weakness,
Right.
but as a characteristic that can be managed, even leveraged for good. One of the most powerful things I've taken away from this deep dive is this idea that we're not alone in our struggles. Shyness is a common human experience.
Right.
And by sharing our stories and supporting each other,
Yeah.
we can create a much more compassionate and connected world.
Absolutely. And perhaps the most important question you can ask yourself now is this. What would you discover if you reread those notes a year from now? What progress might you hope to see?
It's an invitation to continue reflecting on your journey.
Right.
Celebrate your successes.
Yeah.
Learn from those setbacks. And embrace that ongoing process of growth and transformation.
And who knows, maybe a year from now, you'll be sharing your wisdom and experience with others.
Hmm.
helping them navigate their own journeys toward confidence and connection.
It's been such an incredible deep dive,
It has.
filled with these insightful reflections and practical takeaways. So
Mhm.
thanks for sharing your journey with us.
It's been my pleasure exploring these ideas with you. Remember, you have the power to create that social life that you desire.
Hmm.
Believe in yourself, keep learning, keep practicing,
Right.
and never underestimate the impact you can have on the world.
Yeah.
It's like almost like turning your shyness challenge into a superpower, right?
Right.
It's using your experience to like empower others and create a more compassionate and understanding world.
And it really brings us back to the heart of what this whole deep dive has been about.
Yeah.
Exploring like the complexities of shyness and uncovering that path toward greater confidence and connection, right?
Exactly.
We started with like your personal notes, right? Those like raw and honest glimpses into your experiences and aspirations. We saw like a yearning for connection and a desire to feel more like comfortable and confident in social situations,
Mhm.
and maybe even a hint of a future where you might like use your journey to help others find their
Yeah,
voice.
and then we dove into the book,
Right.
which offered this like framework for understanding shyness,
Right.
building self-esteem, and developing those social skills needed to navigate the world with so much more ease.
The book really emphasizes the importance of self-awareness,
Yeah.
honest self-evaluation, and consistent effort.
Absolutely. It reminds us that personal growth is a process, not a destination.
And it challenges us to like shift our perspective on shyness,
Mhm.
seeing it not as like a weakness,
Right.
but as a characteristic that can be managed and even leveraged for good. You know, one of the most powerful things I've taken away from this whole deep dive is this idea that we're not alone in our struggles.
Yeah,
Like, shyness is a common human experience.
it is.
And by sharing our stories and supporting each other, we can create a much more compassionate and connected world.
Absolutely. And maybe the most important question you can ask yourself now is,
Mm-mm.
what would you discover if you reread those notes, like a year from now?
Yeah.
What progress might you hope to see?
It's like an invitation to continue reflecting on your journey,
Right.
to celebrate those successes, learn from those setbacks,
Mhm.
and embrace that ongoing process of growth and transformation.
And who knows, maybe a year from now, you'll be sharing your wisdom and experiences with others,
Right.
helping them navigate their own journeys toward confidence and connection.
It's been an incredible deep dive,
Yes.
filled with such insightful reflections and like practical takeaways. Thanks
Yeah.
for sharing your journey with us.
It's been a pleasure. And remember, you have the power to create the social life you desire.
Hmm.
Believe in yourself, keep learning, keep practicing, and never underestimate the impact you can have on the world.